everyone. Welcome to Kiso Junior's Child Development Center. As we are celebrating Better Hearing and Speech Month, we are very excited to speak with pediatricians on developmental delays and their abilities on children's communication. Developmental delays are a topic of great concern for parents, caregivers, healthcare professionals. Early detection and intervention are crucial for ensuring that children with developmental delay receive the support to reach their full potential.
During our interview, we will be discussing the red flags of developmental delays, common misconception, the impact of communication skills, the importance of early detection and intervention. Without further delay, let's jump into our discussion with Dr. Jane from Sunway Specialist Center, Damansara.
Hello, Doctor.
Hello.
Hi.
Developmental delay refers to when a child does not achieve certain developmental milestones or skills or abilities at a certain age. Yeah, and usually the developmental areas that we look at in a child will be the physical or the motor skills, and that consists of their gross motor or their large motor functions, and also their fine motor functions, which refers to, for example, the ability to hold objects and to execute fine motor function. The other big area of development that we look into will be the speech and social aspects. For example, when does a child first start to speak their first word? How does the child socializes, interacts with his or her parents and their surroundings? Common red flags will include, for example, if a child is not able to speak by the age of 18 months old, meaning that they are not able to speak any single meaningful word, because most children will start to have at least a few single meaningful words between the age of 12 to 15 months. And again, at about 18 months old, another red flag will be if the child is still not walking, because at around the age of 12 to 15 months, most children will be able to walk with some support, and then by about 15 months they start to walk unaided. So these are a couple of examples. And then at about 2 to 3 years old, if a child does not show any interest in the surroundings, no interest to play, or they have any concerns that the child's social interaction does not appear to be normal, that will be another red flag that they should be the child should be brought for an assessment. For example, if a child has speech delay, the child might not be able to express what they want, what they need, and by not being able to express themselves well, then they may manifest that in other ways. For example, in behavioral issues, having meltdowns, throwing tantrums, or sometimes they may also injure themselves, like they might bang their head on the wall, or they might physically try to have aggression towards others. So these are examples that if a child is not able to express themselves well, so that's an example of speech. During the first 1 year of life, of course, parents should be vigilant, but during the first 1 year of life, very often the infant will be brought regularly for checkups because of their immunization. They usually will go to the clinic every month. So if parents have any concerns during the first 1 year of life, that will be they can bring that up to the attending doctor or the nurse or the pediatrician. And very often we will also ask parents about the developmental milestones of the infant and do a checkup. So I will say first 1 year of life, in particular maybe around 6 to 9 months old, because at around that age, for example at 9 months old, an infant is able to do quite a number of things. They should have the group head control, when they are able to sit with a group head control, and then so if they have any delay at that age, it's usually more obvious. And the other ages that they should be monitored will be at about 1.5-year-old, at about 18 months. Because like what I've gone through, at 18 months, if you have no single meaningful word, warning flag, red flag, not able to walk, again it's a warning flag. So at 18 months, and then another age will be at about near the age of 2.5 to 3 years old, and that is when they should also look at the communication, the speech, and how the child interacts. Because sometimes certain developmental conditions, for example, children with autism or hyperactive issues, sometimes they may have some early signs already at the age of 2 to 3 years. And then another thing that sometimes we tend to neglect is that we need to bear in mind that some children, they may have normal development, and during the first 5 years of life, during kindergarten, their milestones and all could be normal. But when they start formal school, when they go into standard 1, then with formal learning, which requires more, which is more demanding on the child, then some child with some learning difficulties, or maybe certain behavioral issues, or they might have some sensory processing, reading, writing difficulties, then that's when they might start to encounter difficulties as well. Early intervention is very important, because by recognizing problems or weaknesses early, then we can help the child early, and we can allow them to catch up with their peers as well. So every child has their strengths and weaknesses. So what you aim to do is to actually to focus on the strength, and then you help them to also to encounter that weakness. And early intervention has a lot of popularity nowadays, is because we recognize that during the first few years of life, the child's brain is actually still growing in size, and usually that is fastest during the first few years of life. So they are also more open to learning things, to form positive connections within the brain and the mind. So that's why early intervention during your first few years of life is very important. We all learn new things as we grow, even up to as adults, we still learn, but as we grow older and as adults, our mindset become more fixed. So if you have any issues, it's always better to address it early. So if a parent suspect that the child has developmental delay, I would advise that you bring the child to see a child specialist or a pediatrician for an initial assessment, and then the pediatrician will then guide you on what to do next, on what are the steps to do next. One myth about developmental delay is that the child will always catch up, that they are just late bloomer, and that the child will catch up once they enter kindergarten or primary school. So that's not always the case. Some children with developmental delay, they need help, they need assistance to catch up. So I would advise that don't assume that any child who appears to be a bit delayed, that they are just, don't brush them off as just late bloomers. Bring them for a proper medical assessment. So I will typically first take a history from the parents. I will address what are the parents' concerns, and then also I will take a medical history just to make sure that the child does not have any other underlying medical condition, and often that also includes a family history. And then I will do a physical examination. This will be from basically a head to toe physical examination, and then based on the history and the examination, sometimes we might need to take some bloods if we suspect certain medical conditions. And then from all this, based on what are the child's weaknesses or delay and what is the suspicion, then I might need to refer to other specialists. For example, a child with speech delay, very often they need a formal hearing test as well. And a child with fine motor delay, like they're not able to pick up small objects, then they will need a formal eye assessment as well. And for some children, those with like for example speech, social, communication, and even the physical, quite often they will need early intervention programs. So that will usually be by the occupational therapists or certain centers that offer early intervention programs. The causes of developmental delay in children can be due to a few causes. It can be due to genetic factors, or it can be due to certain complications which might occur during pregnancy or after birth. So for example, this might be infection, which could be a maternal infection during pregnancy which has affected the baby developing brain, or it could be a severe infection that has affected the brain during the early years. And then other examples basically will be any form of brain injury or any kind of insult to the brain, especially during the first few years of life when it is developing. In some cases, the cause is actually not known, or in medical term we say idiopathic, where we don't have an underlying cause for it. My advice for parents will be that you might be worried that by seeking help that it might put a label onto your child, or your child might be stigmatized. But then bear in mind that when you seek help or an assessment for the child, it means that it's not labeling your child as delay or slow, but it means that we can help to assist your child's potential, that whatever potential that your child has, that can be fully maximized. So don't hesitate to seek help, see a doctor or a pediatrician child specialist that you feel comfortable with, so that your child may have a proper medical assessment.
Alright, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Remember, early detection, especially during the first 5 years of age, is critical. For instance, by 18 months, a child should be able to walk and develop several meaningful single words. By the age of 2.5 to 3, a child should be able to communicate in short phrases or sentences. By recognizing the warning signs and taking proactive steps, we can provide the necessary support and resources to children who may be experiencing developmental delays. These include seeking professional guidance, engaging in appropriate assessments, and accessing to early intervention services such as speech therapy, occupational therapy, physiotherapy, and etc. Let us join hands together to raise the awareness about the developmental delays, the importance of timely intervention. Share this interview and spread the knowledge about developmental delays. Together, we can ensure that every child will receive the support that they need to reach their full potential. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Bye-bye.